Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Extra Time TV. This is Andre Sooklal, and today we have Kenwyne Jones joining us today, former national player for Trinidad Tobago, had success with many clubs, and of course we're going to talk about the Concacaf Gold Cup match that just took place. It's still fresh in our minds. By the time we upload this, people have their thoughts and so on. So Kenwyne, the game ended 1-1 to Haiti. It was not the ideal result for us. We wanted to win. There's a lot to talk about in this game. Justin Garcia scoring for us. And, they got a penalty. They got a penalty denied. We hit the post. There was these long decisions by VAR. So let me hear your initial thoughts on this game.
Yes. Um, I think disappointed. I think the selection by coach, it went from one extreme to the next. After coming off the first game and losing so badly, I think he went the other way in trying to shake the team up. You could see having it starting at right back. No Molino from the start. It was just a different, you know, team. I think we paid the price for it, where you could see most of the first half and a lot in the game, where we didn't have any ball handlers to be able to receive the ball behind the midfield of Haiti, and find those passes to Spicer and find those passes to Levi and find the passes to Feely when he was on. Then it became Real Gil. But it was difficult. It was a struggle for us from the very beginning. We struggled to get in the game because Haiti were on top of us. In the first half, I think they had something like 6 or 8 shots to our one.
Mhm.
And even though when you had the red card, you thought that we would have been saved and we'd, be able to start the second half strongly. Haiti started stronger than us and then ultimately went in front.
Yeah, correct. And, even while we're speaking now, Sofascore, who we have an arrangement with EXTV, sending me data. So, the overall stats, I don't like to read out the stats. People can read them themselves. But, 53% for us. And I guess that changed because of the end of the game, 47%. We got 9 shots, 2 on target. They got 16, 3 on target, 14 fouls. It was a physical game. The duels were the same. Big chances created by them, which is also key, considering they had one less man. Was they had 3, we had 2. So that puts us not in the ideal position in the group. There's a lot of things that have to go our way if we want to make it through. But just to break down episodes in the game, I know you mentioned the change from the last game until this one. Obviously, the USA game was a rough result. We conceded 5 goals, but it seemed to me as if the game plan, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, it seems as if it started off initially. Let's try not to concede goals and just try to get Levi on the breakaway, and then even when we got the red card, oh sorry, they got the red card. I thought at that point in time they would have transitioned and started to control the ball a little bit more. But Haiti actually looked like they were a little bit more in control. They were more composed in the match preview I did with Andre, the other Andre. We spoke about the composure of Haiti. I mean, they're a team that had Saudi Arabia on the ropes a lot of the times. And while it's easy to pick on a team, there were some good things where we did nullify them a little bit, but still they did show their class and ability to hold the ball even with one man down and even going ahead in the second half. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Haiti, was the better team when they played against Saudi Arabia. And even as you said for us, it looked like, we wanted to do better. Like I said, one extreme to the next. We were really poor defensively as a unit against the US. But coming into this game, you could have seen that we wanted to at least go into the half at 0-0. Um, we were playing on the counter attack. But like I said, we didn't have, in that attacking midfielder or number 10 position, a real ball handler to play in between the lines and get the ball forward because it seemed like, we didn't really have much options going forward after we would have defended the ball. When you look at the makeup of the team, I think, when you look at positioning Daniel Phillips, Tamandre Rampasad, essentially the same type of player. I think you know, Andre should have been a little bit more the one to take that responsibility, getting on the ball, setting the tempo for us, and being able to get the ball forward to Nathaniel James. But then again, up front there, we might as well have played with two strikers because Nathaniel James is not a classic number 10. He's done pretty well in the past coming off the bench for us and you know, getting a goal or two. And it's a tough ask because Haiti is a big physical team. And, for a lot of our guys, we're not as strong as them physically. Haiti were very aggressive, in all parts of the field. And then also when you look at our team today, long balls, route one balls from the goalkeeper, from the defenders, beating such a flat defense. I think it was poor all around because the team lacked a lot of cohesion. When we defended deep in our box, the ball got forward and we would have been on a breakaway. The team itself in that transition was too slow to come out of the box and really make the Haitians work for the positions in behind us. And also when we're able to squeeze up the pitch quickly, it keeps us in contact with loose balls and having our numbers up in the opponent's half of the pitch, and that wasn't there. Um, it was poor. It was poor, and I get it. I get the fact that the thought process was to defend and not concede like we did, but this team is lacking in a big way. We're lacking in the defensive line, um, and also I think we're lacking one or two players in the midfield area.
Yeah, correct. And it seems as if I spoke about this before. We are in that limbo. You said extremes, which is probably the better way to phrase it. It's either all defense or all attack. The players seem to be in limbo, not being sure what to commit to. They don't want to attack too much because they don't want to concede, and then they're sitting back. Because you're right, there's multiple occasions where they tried to transition, and there was no support. They were almost kind of frozen and being very careful. And as you said, it rightfully
Mm.
came off as if they were, let's try not to lose this game at certain points. It's only towards the end when Kevin came on, and I think Real Gil as well. They started to show some initiative, and he grabbed the game at the scruff of the neck and started to take initiative, and we started to create some attacking play on the right with Spicer and those guys. And to me, is something even Dwight mentioned. Dwight said, we're a very reactive team, but clearly it's a consequence of a team that's trying to find themselves. But with that being said, with the lineups, it's just talk tactics. Both teams, according to these things, came out with the same 4-4-2. Um, Cardenas came in instead of Alvin Jones. Um,
Mhm.
and also, we had the midfield of Rampersad Phillips. Clearly, there's a possibility that maybe Kevin Molina was injured. That's why he didn't start. But what do you think? We know about the mental approach, but what do you think about the shape Dwight Yorke used for this game?
I think it's a very safe shape. Essentially when I was watching it, it looked like 4-2-3-1. Um, 4-4-2. However you want to name it these days, it's I think it's essentially safe for any coach that wants to go out and not leave spaces on the wing and be able to have enough in midfield so that you don't get overloaded too much. But number one, the number one problem is that we lack control. We lack control in the middle of the park. We lacked ball handlers. When Kevin came as the type of player he is, you could see that the team trusted to get the ball to him in those pockets behind the midfield of Haiti, so that he could turn and supply the forward running players. When if you're gonna make a change and not start them in a game, you have to be able to have either a carbon copy or a better alternate. So we have to figure out a way to be able to play when Dwight decides not to start Kevin, because we lose something very creative. Um, we lose that penetrative pass. We lose a lot of attacking prowess. And from when he's not playing, it's basically route one. We're playing on the counter attack, trying to get Levi in behind, trying to get Nathaniel James or Spicer on the switch of play. But in the middle of the park, we need ball handlers to set the tempo, when to speed the game up, when to slow it down and take control. Because the thing is when Haiti was pressuring us that much, when we won the ball back in our defensive third, we didn't have people to, to go in and take the ball and be able to move it quickly enough so that we're controlling the tempo of the game and then being able to find that attacking player in the pockets to turn and then go on and attack the team. We were just defending for our lives, and then we would lose the ball quickly because for a number of minutes, maybe for the first half hour, I think, we broke away from our defensive third maybe twice.
Mhm.
Apart from that, Haiti was essentially living in our half of the field. And for something like that, when you have that type of pressure, you have to do a few things. If you're gonna defend and push the ball up the field, route one, you're gonna have to get your team being vertically compact very quickly. So as the ball goes, your backline needs to push quickly and get up the pitch to keep the units together. Um, if you're not doing that, then you're going to have good ball handlers, people that are composed when you pick the ball up, being able to pass the ball in midfield, pass it into your forward players, be able to draw fouls so you can get the team up the pitch, you kill the tempo of the other team that has the momentum attacking you all the time. And that was not happening. So we're seeing a lot of deficiencies in the team at this level. And it's something that the coach would need to address.
Yes, yes, and I know we'll talk about our overall view on the Gold Cup so far because it was always going to be a tough group. But the wider objective so far, everybody's talking about us getting to the World Cup. This is one of the best chances we've had in years, and probably will be for a long time because of how it was set up. And everybody knows that the group we are in. I think somebody asked Dwight Yorke in the pre-match press conference what he wants out of this tournament. So, for example, yes, we know realistically, getting the win against the USA would have been a little bit tough. Of course, it wasn't. We saw what happened. But, knowing that we have that group, the World Cup qualifiers coming up, what do you think would be the ideal expectations or outcomes coming out of this tournament?
All right, it's tough to say what his ideal expectations are, but I think, for anyone looking at the team, you would have expected the team to pick on a bit. We would have played St. Kitts, and gotten through to the other stage. But then when we're stepping up in the level of competition, you're talking about the Costa Ricas, the Hondurases, the Guatemalas, the Jamaicas. Um, we have to be at that level. And coming into this qualification group, okay, I don't think the US team is the best team I've seen for a long time. I thought that we should have done better. I think we were surprised by the way that they started the game. And then against Haiti, knowing that the other side of it, the physical presence, the calmness, we have to be able to match that as well. And then we're going into play Saudi Arabia, a team that, Dwight has played before, and I think we lost that game 3-0 or something like that in Saudi Arabia. You're expecting the team to rise to the occasion. Qualification for World Cup depends on the entire squad. It is not the people that start the games are the ones that are going to carry us through. You need one, two, through to 23 or 26 as they have it now. And you have to be sure that the people that you have coming off the bench are able to impact the game in positive ways. Um, when you look at the switch up, like I said before, the deficiencies of the team, we need to get some more defenders. If not to replace some of the defensive players that we've seen, but at least to be in that competitive space with them. Because when you have someone that is willing to take your spot, it drives you up a level competitively. And also, we need to find that ball handler in the midfield, and also I think a spear for Kevin Molino.
Yes, yes. These are all, it's very clear now, and I'm sure York is probably seeing those things right now. So as time unfolds, we'll see how he handles this and how he approaches it. I know he mentioned he had a couple players in mind. Now the clear and present objective is the Gold Cup. As it stands, USA 3 points, Saudi Arabia 3 points, Haiti 1, Trinidad Tobago 1. Ideally, for both teams, a win would have been the ideal scenario. I think that's the worst case scenario. Not really worst case, but not the ideal scenario. But a win was what both teams wanted. Now that we came out from this game, a few positives. We started to create when Kevin came on. We started to attack. We created a few chances. We hit the post. We were forcing some opportunities. Do you think, in terms of the composure of the younger players, like for example, there was a penalty. I'm going to speak about specific episodes here. We were in the ascendancy, and then there was a breakaway. And I do understand when you do attack and you're trying to take the game, you will have that risk of conceding, having a thin back line because we were going for the 3 points. So I understood that. But there seemed to be a lot of naivety in some of the tackles, which led to a penalty in the end, which was a little bit close. But I think with a bit more composure and calm, without that reckless tackle, he probably could have held off. So, we spoke about defense, we spoke about offense, we spoke about the midfield areas, but from a psychological standpoint, I asked Dwight this at the post-match conference. But as someone like you who has done this before, multiple campaigns, you got to a World Cup, you saw what it took mentally to get there, having done this before mentally, just from my external, and this is not to be disrespectful to the players, it's just an assessment. What do you think, where do you think psychologically this team is at right now, and where do you think they need to be?
I think the team psychologically is going to be doubtful. As I think some commentators, brought it up. In 5 games, we conceded 16 goals. Now 6 games, 16 goals. That is a lot. You need to be, first of all, as a team, better defensively. And the thing is, for the team, I'm a bit unsure of what they're doing defensively, and that's from back to front or front to back. You talk about what is the aim defensively? Are you going to show them out to the wings to try and suffocate them in that area? Are you going to high press? Are we working within a mid block, being able to let them bring the ball into that middle third of the pitch and then, you know, um, press them aggressively, or are we playing in a low block? It is very difficult to determine what is the game plan of the team by looking at them. And then also, I think it needs a bit of more experience. When you look at our squad back in 2006, I was the youngest player then at 21, going on 22. Most of the players were in their 30s. Um, Dwight probably like 36 or 37 or something like that. The defenders around would have had multiple games under their belt. So we had a lot of experience in that campaign. I think in this squad here now, you have a lot of players who are not accustomed to tournament football. And when you look at the team, they would have gone from, playing in the Unity Cup, then coming back and getting ready for the World Cup qualifiers, and then quickly on to this tournament here that is the Gold Cup. I don't know if as a group, if they have the mental fortitude or the concentration levels to be involved in football for that long. A lot of them coming in from the end of the season, some in the middle, some, you know, tired legs. But as a unit, the experience in being in a camp for 3, 4, a month, 5 weeks, I think is lacking. And it tells on us because we started off the tournament really slowly. We got beat 5-0. And now today, even though in some aspects it's a better performance, we didn't look like we were at the races. So we're struggling in that area. And hopefully, as we look forward to the World Cup qualifier coming in September, hopefully there are a couple more players, to be able to add to the squad. Like I said, the group needs competitiveness. It shouldn't be a situation where people are relaxed now, thinking that they're already in the squad. They should be on their toes, looking at, over their shoulder. Hopefully someone is coming to take my place. Let me, train hard and keep my levels up there. And also, even it is a test to the coach as well. This is his first birth into tournaments as a coach. Hopefully, him and the staff would learn some things from this tournament as well. And hopefully it would make them better as a unit going forward in the future.
Yes, yes. I think, as people of Trinidad and Tobago, we all want the best and we all want us to get to that World Cup. So we'll always look in a positive direction. So, just some quick data here to pull up. I'll put the graphic up. But in terms of attacking momentum, it shows on the graph, which I'll pop up when I do the final edits. You'll see Honduras basically dominated the match momentum up until, midway.
Haiti.
I mean, sorry, Haiti. What am I saying? What am I saying? Haiti. And then the attacking momentum basically changed only towards the latter halves of the second half. And then, heading into the game against Saudi Arabia, we saw two different approaches in the USA game and also the this game tonight. How do you think they're going to approach the Saudi Arabia game? Because Saudi Arabia is a very formidable team. This is a tough group, and I'm not making excuses. This is a tough group, but what do you think by your guess, from what you've seen so far, the tactical approach should be heading into this final game?
Well, we're gonna have to play what is our best team. We have to play Molino. We're gonna have to play five-star, maybe Sealy or Real Gil. Real Gil has shown himself to be very energetic when he comes on, and has a bit of X factor about him. Again, midfield is going to be the problem. I think Gianni Fortune is there, but he didn't see a minute tonight. He tried a little bit differently with Stefan Yates coming on as well. It's going to be difficult for him, but he has to know what his best team hasn't presented itself during this competition so far. So maybe he has to go back and look at the games that he would have played to see the cohesion, because we have to win the game. It's been a while since we came out the group phase. I think our last group phase that we came out to was back in 2015, probably 2015.
I think it was 15, yeah.
Coincidentally, when I last played. But
yes.
That's beside that's beside the point. But
Yes,
for him, really and truthfully, it's going to be difficult to look at this team now in the tournament to know exactly what is your best team for the tournament. Only because we started poorly, and today we didn't have so much of a good game. So maybe a change of tactics, because I really thought that there could have been a bit more innovation in the way that he played. Obviously, he didn't play Alvin Jones tonight. But I thought we'd have gone something maybe like a 3-4-3 and be able to pile a bit more pressure offensively. With being 10 men against 11. But then in the end, it looked as if we were down to 10 men, and that is something that is very, very surprising. Yes, the game changed, but that only change came when Molino came on the scene. So that tells you that what we were lacking, having someone to trust to be in that position, to get in the pockets, a ball handler, a player to make that final pass. But it wasn't the fact that we were dominant in possession. The Haiti with 10 men, I think they had the stranglehold on the game. So we have to work on that. And with a squad, and yes, I know we're at the base of the last stage of qualification, but with a team, when you have a coach with a team, you expect them to build through some time leading into this process. Unfortunately for Dwight, he's had it in what, 6 or 7 months. And in between that time, you have 5 days with the team ever so often. So it's going to be really tough for them to build what that plan is. But he has to find a way to get it down pretty quickly and get this team going in the right direction. And it starts with that game tomorrow. Or the next game, sorry.
Yeah, the next game, yeah. And I understand what you mean, because multiple times on the show, I mentioned to people being on both sides of the coin, being somebody externally and internally, and just watching football for years. There's a massive misconception about international football and how it works by many people who follow the game. It's not club football. You don't get to see the players day in, day out. They are in different locations. You don't know what their conditions are. And then you have a small window, usually in international breaks, to transmit your ideas, which you're aware of as well as a player and a coach. So it's very important, but also a blessing in disguise that we're getting these difficult games to play. The Unity Cup, the World Cup games, qualifiers, and this as well. So we'll see how it manifests. But on a light note, Kenwyne, I was planning to do this, but since you brought up the last time you're on the national team, I don't know if this looks familiar. So
It does.
Yes.
It
So
does.
I kept this in my archives that you can't see off screen. So Kenwyne's signature is in this. I think this is it here. You can't see it on the camera. Is it?
Oh, no.
No, that's Highland, I think.
That's not mine. I'll tell you, mine is just it's just above it's just under the white. The second autograph there under the white. Yeah, come left. Yeah, right there.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's right.
No. One too much. Come right a little bit. Yeah, right there.
Oh,
Right
okay.
there.
And I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm seeing Phil. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's right. Marvin Phillip. Yeah, so I remember it. Sentimental moment there, folks. You can't see the tears on the camera because, skillful editing. But that was a good time. I remember those days, Stephen Hart and that team. And some of those guys are still there, Jovin as well, Marvin. So,
Yeah.
folks, if you're joining us, we had a watch along before, which was very impressive, and I was actually impressed by the comments by the viewers, and they were from all over the planets. And a lot of the things you identified, Ken, when they did. So we'll observe how things go. We all want Trinidad and Tobago to do well, and these games are coming thick and fast. We'll have a preview. We'll have Andre will return the other Andre. And Kenwyne, once you're available, you'll come on because having your insight is important because there's a lot of podcasters out there. People, we love to talk about football in Trinidad, all over the world. It's a thing now, but it's very rare to have people who have experienced these sort of things firsthand. Qualifying for a World Cup, playing for these tournaments. So your insight is always valuable to add to the existing opinions that everybody else has. So, folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below. This was a very exciting game. Trinidad and Tobago could have won, but we also could have lost as well. And kudos to Haiti. I mean, I know we are primarily focused on Trinidad and Tobago, but I was very impressed, Kenwyne, and let me know your thoughts about when they were one man down, their ability to be organized and still press in such a efficient way that it was causing us problems and exposed our deficiencies in the middle, as you went into great detail to explain. Even close to the end of the game, they were creating chances. They were picking their moments. They were pressing at the right times. And we were looking at times like a team that was a bit deficient. And, you could see this is where Molino has to get some credit. He was running all over the pitch trying to instigate attacks. So, while we spoke about Trinidad and Tobago and, what our problems were, what do you think about Haiti's ability to be resilient with one man less and even almost snatch the game? Yes, they missed the penalty, but they were creating chances.
Well, I mean, it's a tale of two teams.
Mhm.
Haiti went a man down, and you could see their organization in defense. They were, defending two banks of four, sometimes a 4-3-2. And you could see that they knew what they were doing. It was well drilled. They got back very quickly, and they were aggressive when they decided to press. And they pressed together as a team, and they exposed us. When you look at our team again, and you have to make your reference, we didn't look like we knew what we were going to do out of possession. And in possession, it was very, I think, basic. I think it was, just a game without hope.
Mhm.
When we attacking, we didn't know what we wanted to do with the ball. And that changed when Molino come on. But credit to Haiti, they were very strong in their conviction. The players were very robust. And they look as if, for most of the game, they wanted it more because you could have seen the amount of times that they made entries into our penalty box. And we, according to local talents, we got away by the skin of our teeth.
Yes.
Um, but credit to them, they've always been a tough team in CONCACAF. Um, I think the last time I played against them, we won 1-0 in a practice game just before the Gold Cup itself as well.
I remember that area.
But they have always been, yeah, they've always been resolute, but it's more about, I think, our deficiencies and how we are failing to stand up against our CONCACAF counterparts. It shows what we're missing. It shows what we need to work on. But I think we need to be better all around in how we approach these games. We need to be unified in the game plan and the idea, and we need to go out there and actually put it in play.
Correct. And this is the time. The window is really small now. Those World Cup games are they're very close. And it's basically do or die moments now. So, Dwight Yorke to his, you know, I should say, in his defense, he has a short time to get a lot of results. I remember he mentioned in one of the conferences, he had three objectives. One was to get us to the World Cup. The other was to get us to this stage of the World Cup qualifiers. And of course, the big one, which is to get us there. So, the last time, obviously, we've been there was the only time in 2006. Kenwyne was there as well. I was there in spirit, of course. But but I remembered, as a fan there and enjoying that euphoria. And I I spoke to some of the people in the live stream as well. And I told them, a lot of people remembered, we initially struggled in the beginning and we learned quickly. Because I remembered when people, of course, I hate to say this, but, when people started to kind of abandon the team and the stadiums were not, they looked like we were down and out, Russell had to be returned. There was a comeback, I think, against Guatemala. But you could see the team. Of course, I don't like to compare the teams, a little bit unfair because the team. A lot of the players are playing in the UK, Scotland, England. Yourself and Russell was still in Scotland, and we had players who were good that didn't make the final squad, but they learned. And that's my hope this time around. Yorke, could probably manifest. Don Leo's spirit. It's a shame that he passed recently, but maybe it's a omen. And I'm trying to be positive, even though I'm an analytical guy. I'm hoping that we learn what we're supposed to learn. That's why we do these shows. We can analyze what the problems are. I'm sure Yorke and his team are doing that right now, and they're probably going to have little meetings and so on. So we have to hope that they translate these ideas and we get the results. And the time frame is very short. I wish that maybe he came in a bit sooner. So you probably have more time, to implement his ideas. Because of who he is, Dwight Yorke, everybody knows him as Dwight Yorke, the treble winner, Manchester United. He has that ability to probably pull in, maybe attract externally, sponsors, friendlies, things that maybe was a little bit more difficult in the past. But, we'll see how it goes. So, if you give me a chance, I'll talk about this for hours. So with that being said, folks, let us know what you think in the comment section. Be sure to like, subscribe. I really appreciate the support we've been getting. The analytics have been through the roof. Kenwyne, we've been doing not so bad. I won't lie. I won't pat myself on the back, but I just did. Actually, that's my shoulder, but that's okay. Yeah, but I'm doing it anyway. So, folks, it was suggested to me. I was going to bring back one of the original things because Kenwyne was actually one of our first interviews we ever did. So just for that whole sentimental thing, back then I used to do FIFA giveaways. It's no longer FIFA, it's EAFC, folks. Excuse me. So when the new FIFA comes out, we'll take somebody from the comment section and, they will get a copy of EAFC and one of the new jerseys from the Trinidad Tobago national team. So keep doing that. So Kenwyne, it's always a pleasure to have your insight. We always talk off air about these things, the highs and lows of Trinidad Tobago football. And we'll definitely see how it goes. So thank you, Kenwyne, and folks, we'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Extra Time TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe.